Howdy everyone, it's your buddy BP, and if you're like me, you're getting a little tired of the current Destiny meta. It's getting a little stale. I mean, auto rifles are kind of making a comeback, and that's sort of nice, but aside from that, it's a little unexciting. Last Word is making a comeback, shotguns are still deadly despite the nerf. I wouldn't say that it's boring, but it definitely doesn't feel quite as exciting as it used to be. There are a lot of things that Bungie can do to improve this, and one idea is to bring back more exotics that are still stuck in Year 1. For this video, I want to talk about 3 exotic weapons that I'm particularly interested in seeing brought back to Year 2. There are more exotics I'd like to see get brought back, but these are 3 weapons in particular that I would really love to see Bungie bring back. And in my opinion, I think they would make the game feel a little fresher if I could use them for Year 2. First off is Lord of Wolves. Lord of Wolves is an exotic shotgun that was introduced in the House of Wolves expansion pack. Originally, in order to get it, you would have to get an Elder Cipher, which you get randomly for beating the level 35 Skolas fight for the Prison of Elders. Now, the only way you can get it is through a Legacy Engram. Lord of Wolves is an extremely unique weapon. There is no other weapon in Destiny quite like it. It's technically a shotgun, but when you pull the trigger, it doesn't just fire a bunch of pellets, it fires a 5-shot burst. Kind of like a pulse rifle, but it deals damage like a fusion rifle. So it's almost kind of also like a fusion rifle that you don't have to charge, but it fires in a burst. Get what I'm saying? It's a little weird, but it's really fun and there's nothing quite like it in the game. It also looks really badass. It has this sort of fallen weapon design with all these prongs and parts to it, and the front barrel emits flames. I mean, it emits fire! How badass is that? It also has a really cool exotic perk that grants your nearby allies an increased recovery for about 30 seconds after you land a kill. The increase is just a little noticeable, and you do have to be fairly close in order for it to proc, but I still like the idea of a really unique weapon like this that's designed to work supportively. This kind of supportive tactic is really good for PvE, but unfortunately the Lord of Wolves is stuck in Year 1. Because of this, it's not practical for PvE, and it's especially not practical for a raid. Bungie, please bring this thing back, and if you're gonna bring it back, maybe you can buff up that exotic perk a little bit so it's a little bit more supportive. Maybe it grants a greater recovery boost, maybe it covers a larger area so you can support more allies at once. Something like that. Even if they don't do it, I would still like to see them bring this weapon back. It's a ton of fun, and in PvP, it can actually be surprisingly deadly. It's a little tricky to use because it has a leftward pull whenever you pull the trigger, so the recoil is really nasty. But even despite what its stats say, it works at a surprisingly effective range, and it's really fun to use. So yeah, Bungie, bring this beast back. Next up is the Pocket Infinity. The Pocket Infinity is an exotic fusion rifle that deals solar damage. It was originally introduced in Destiny right at the very start. Back in Year 1, the only way to get it was through a bounty, which was randomly given to you after turning in other bounties. Now you can only get it through a Legacy Engram. Pocket Infinity is unique in that it's a fusion rifle that fires in full auto. No, not like the Vex Mythoclast, this is totally different. It functions just like a normal fusion rifle, only it keeps firing when you hold down the trigger. Also, when you fire shots, there's a random chance it will return to the magazine. Pocket Infinity is about as close as we'll get to having something like a flamethrower in Destiny. The way it just melts Guardians is so delightful. The problem with fusion rifles in PvP is that even though they do a lot of damage, they can only do it in one burst, and if you miss that first burst, you gotta hold down the trigger and do it again. But the Pocket Infinity will keep firing until the magazine is exhausted. Do note that it does have a long charge time, so you have to get a little used to it. Also, the recoil is really nasty, so I would suggest speccing this thing out for stability. I can't imagine how practical it would be for PvE if it was brought to Year 2, but I couldn't imagine it not being fun. It just seems like a delight to use. You just hold down the trigger and it just sprays fire everywhere. It's just so fun to use, and it's especially delightful to melt Guardians with. You can even kill Guardians out of supers if you time your shots right. Still, the Pocket Infinity is stuck in Year 1, and I'm a little worried that they may not bring it back. Pocket Infinity was extremely deadly in year 1. It was kind of a hidden favorite that only a few people knew about. In the start of the game, it was extremely deadly because you could spec it out to have an 8-shot magazine. Now you can only get 4 at most, and that's if you go with a low stability build. Even with that taken into account, the Pocket Infinity is just devastating, even now in year 2. Part of the reason I'm worried they may not bring it back is that Bungie may be a little concerned that players may suddenly realize just how truly deadly this weapon is, and before you know it, we'll start seeing it all the time in Iron Banner and Trials. Well, maybe not Trials, sniper rifles are really popular in there, but even then, the thing is just so deadly the way it just disintegrates Guardians. But even with that taken into account, I want to see it come back for year 2. So yeah, Bungie, go ahead and consider bringing this one back. This is a really fun weapon, and I really think the Destiny community will benefit from having a year 2 version of it available. Lastly, I want to talk about the Universal Remote. The Universal Remote is an exotic shotgun that was introduced to Destiny at launch. Its unique perk will greatly increase the range and precision damage of the shotgun whenever you aim down the sight, so it's kind of like super rangefinder. And get this, it's equipped in the primary weapon slot. Universal Remote is a ton of fun to use, and because it uses primary weapon ammo, you don't have to worry too much about running out of ammunition in PvP. Like the Pocket Infinity, I'm a little worried that Bungie may not bring this one back for year 2 as well. The reason I feel that way is because there are already 2 weapons in year 2 that kind of sort of fill the niche that Universal Remote fills. If you want to run a sniper shotgun combo, you can run No Land Beyond. If you want to run an exotic shotgun that rewards precision damage, you can run the Chaperone, which is a really good shotgun. Universal Remote is kind of like a weird hybrid between the 2. It's not quite as easy to use as the Chaperone, but it's a hell of a lot easier to use than No Land Beyond. Still, with both niches filled, I'm a little worried they may not bring back Universal Remote, which is sad because it's a lot of fun. It might be the one exotic weapon in this list I had the most fun using in PvP in order to make this video. It's just so devastating to use. It's also really fun to catch enemies off guard with it because you'll be using your sniper rifle and then an enemy will try to flank you by rushing up. Little do they know, you have a shotgun in your primary and BAM! You can just shoot them out the sky. It's so delightful to use. But sadly, it's stuck in year 1. You can still use it in the Crucible, but you can't use it in Iron Banner, and you can't use it in Trials. At least you certainly can't use it effectively there. If you want to run a sniper shotgun combo, you gotta use No Land Beyond. And if you're like me, you're not a fan of having to use No Land Beyond. So yeah, Bungie, pretty please, bring back the Universal Remote as well. It's really fun, it's really deadly, and I would just love to see it come back. And that just about does it for this video. There are other exotics I want to see come back, and I certainly think there are a lot of other things Bungie can do to improve the game, but I really would like to see more exotics being reintroduced to year 2. How about you? What weapons do you want to see reintroduced to year 2? And don't say Yallarhorn, because everyone wants to see Yallarhorn come back, okay? You know, we all got it. We want our Yallarhorns back. But what else do you want to see introduced in year 2? Let me know in the comments section. Also, don't forget to spank that like button if you enjoyed the video. Your support means a lot to me. And as always, y'all be good to each other, and I will see you in the next video.